And I'd say you as a TVO, you know what you should do? You should say, we're going to hold all candidates' debates in prime time, and leaders, you show up, or we'll just put a big cardboard picture of you here. And I think it'd be a very gutsy thing to do, and I'd ask you to set the wheels in motion and do it right now.
I'll point you to the control room right after the show. You can go talk to our boss.
All righty, I think it would be good. So you have canceled all affordable housing projects in this province. This province has never been without an affordable housing program for the lowest income people since the war. The Adams mine would have been the worst environmental catastrophe to go ahead with. It's a huge mine. This landfill would have no lining, and they're counting on the water always flowing into this huge mine. It's 50 stories deep, and they're counting that water will never flow out, only in. And on that principle, they're saying it's going to work, but it's cracked rock, what they call fractured bedrock, just like Walkerton. And the farmers to the south are worried.
Garbage collection.
Look at that. Look at that. I think it's great, though. It's great because it means everybody's talking about it, and we're looking for best practices. Let's invest in our local communities. For example, gas tax. Why should Ottawa take all the gas tax and put it in their pocket or give it in tax cuts? Why shouldn't some of it, it's from transportation, go back into public transit? I will testify to being here in Washington and feeling the sense of anger and fear that is still in that long shadow cast by September the 11th. But the job of a best friend sometimes, and we should be a best friend here with some backbone, is to talk to your neighbor and say actions out of fear and anger may produce worse consequences than you can imagine. And here's the problem. We don't have a national public health system for when diseases arrive in our country or emerge within our country. We're facing West Nile, we're facing a number of diseases that we should be prepared to respond to. I think what we want to be sure of is that the government is conducting a review, as Art just mentioned, that there would be a review to say, look, is there anything that we could do that would make this tragic result less likely to occur? We went right across the country. We found people wanted investment in our cities and communities, investment in education, investment in health. I know everybody's angry about the scandalous behavior of the Liberals and the years of broken promises, and so are we. It's just that we decided to do something about it. We know an election's coming. Let's get some results out of this House of Commons. I didn't come up here to play partisan political games. I came up here because I saw from my own city of Toronto that there were so many things needed and there just wasn't action. There were promises. Our job is to try and produce the positive results. That's what I'm going to go to do, and the House of Commons will be composed by the decision of Canadians. I think that when parties are competing to do the right thing on the most important issues, this is good politics. Well, I believe that Canada should be that voice for peace again. Once we were, Lester Pearson and others. And people can say, oh, well, you're dreaming in Technicolor. First of all, that's the way you should dream. You should think about the possibilities. And secondly, the world needs Canada's voice again. Why do you smile so much? I'm just an upbeat, optimistic individual. It comes from my dad.
You are amazing. Thank you for being here to celebrate. And let me tell you this. Spring is here, my friends, and a new chapter begins. Tonight, Canadians voted to improve healthcare, public healthcare. You voted to strengthen retirement security and to lift every senior out of poverty. You voted to help families make ends meet. You've got some pent-up enthusiasm here. Well, we're going to put you all to work making change happen to bring a more positive and respectful tone to Parliament that have always favored proposition over opposition. But we will oppose the government when it's off track. And we'll support positive suggestions that will bring forward and support the government when it's making progress. As I have done throughout my public life, I will propose constructive solutions focused on helping Canadians. We're going to focus on lifting Canadians out of poverty. We're going to focus on tackling the crisis of climate change. We're going to focus on having Canada's voice be a voice for peace in the world with fairness as a fundamental principle. To my wonderful wife, Olivia, and my member of Parliament, daughter Sarah and their partners, and my wonderful little Beatrice, my granddaughter, who's here, still awake tonight. And to both my mom and Olivia's mom, thank you for your support and for your love. And to all of the candidates who stepped forward for the NDP, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To every candidate and volunteer from every party, your contribution strengthened our country and our democracy, and especially to the tens of thousands of young Canadians, some of who voted for the very first time. You young Canadians are an inspiration and a source of hope for our country's future. Tommy Douglas, our first leader, said, "Dream no little dreams." And I've always taken that to heart. Step by step, working together, we can build the Canada we want, a country worthy of the hopes and dreams of those young Canadians who said no to the same old cynicism, to the negativity, to the politics of usual, and they said yes to a Canada where anything is possible, where we all stick together and no one is left behind. So my friends, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get down to work, and let's not stop until the job is done. Thank you all very much. Merci beaucoup.
February the 5th, 2010, I shared with Canadians that I, like 25,000 other Canadian men every year, had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. I have received overwhelming support from my loving family, my friends, my caucus and party, and thousands of everyday Canadians. Their stories and support, I have to say, have touched me deeply, and I've drawn strength and inspiration from them. In the closing days of the most recent session of the House of Commons, I started suffering from some stiffness and some pain, and after the House rose, I undertook a series of tests at Princess Margaret Hospital here in Toronto. My battle against prostate cancer, as it turns out from these tests, is going very well. My PSA levels remain very, very low. However, these tests, whose results I received just last week,